This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs? What's up, Superfans? Ricky Widmer here, along with Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And Sean Anderson.
How long have I had to think about like a thing that, like a cute thing to say?
We did 4 seconds about 12 minutes ago.
Yeah. And I knew you were coming to me after Dave, too. I still don't know what to say.
Well, we'll figure something out. It's weird that I had to go to Dave
for
first.
A while.
Yeah,
you just
maybe we'll outsource it to the comment section.
Yeah, let's let the comment section decide what your intro is.
How about we do this? We add it to the $5 Patreon tier where every single week
Sean's intro is decided.
They get to pick what your saying is.
All right.
They pool it together and then we
as long
you
as
vote
it's not
on
something
it.
rough.
You get the right to.
I mean, if it's like I'm
veto
a pretty princess, I'll say that. I don't care.
So we'll add that to the $5 tier. They get to like suggest what you will say. But welcome into Superfans, where we talk about everything Chicago sports: the Bears, the Bulls, the Cubs, the White Sox, the Hawks. And today is a special one. It is all Chicago Bulls season starting up. I think for us we start Wednesday, so the season starts Tuesday. Our first game is Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about all Bulls all the time. Zach LaVine, Coby White, Lauri Markkanen, the big three that we're hitting. Before we get into it, though, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you want to suggest what Sean should say at the beginning of a podcast, make sure to join that $5 tier. You can also suggest what we talk about on a podcast. $1 tier, you get in on our Discord, and the $10 tier, you get to join us Superfans if you want. And we talk about what you would like to talk about. Sam was on just last week. We talked Bears with Sam, I think. Talking bye week. I know we talked with Sam also about the Blackhawks here on Superfans as well. But we're looking at 3 guys today. Zach, Coby, Lauri Markkanen. I want to start with the big dog, though. And that is Zach LaVine. No, not Roman Reigns, Dave. Like Dave's that.
Thanks, Michael Cole.
Wait, we're going with
the big dog.
The big dog. No, but we're talking with Zach LaVine, and these were comments that he made last week. I want to say where he was kind of like, "Well, why can't I be an all-star?" He even threw out the word all-pro.
Yeah.
So the question that I want to just throw out there, and we'll talk about today, Dave. We'll go to you first. Will Zach LaVine? I'm not going to go up and ask you, will he be an all-pro? I feel like I know the answer to that question. Mm-hmm. But will Zach LaVine be an all-star this year for the Chicago Bulls?
Yes. Simple terms, yes, he will be. Why? Because I think this year he's finally going to have the supporting cast healthy around him. He's got someone who can facilitate so he can work off ball a little bit better. Sato being a amazing kind of utility tool out there, going to be playing some point, going to be playing some wing for them. But it adds another primary ball handler for Zach, so he doesn't have to shoulder that entire load. Really, as long as Zach can stay healthy, the sky's the limit for him. He's looked really good in this preseason, and I know preseason means jack all, but I'm still going to put some credit in there because he actually is expending effort on defense. He came out publicly talking about when reporters were asking, about it. He's like, it doesn't feel good to have people pick at my defense publicly and comment on it. So I'm going to try to be better at it. I'm going to be disruptive. He's going to make that effort. So he's saying the right things. He's doing the right things. His shot still looks as good as ever. And now that he doesn't have to carry the entire ball handling load for running an entire offense, I'm really excited to see him move forward this year.
Yeah, the big thing I'll throw out there, Sean, before we go to you, that kind of blew my mind. I know it's preseason, but he's shooting 56% from beyond the arc. So, I mean, I don't expect him to shoot that well all season, but if it's higher than the, 35 that he had last season, that's what I'm looking forward with Zach.
I think the most interesting thing that's come out, at least from the preseason, is not anything from the actual stat lines.
Pretty
because I mean, it's been maybe 3 or 4 games. I think the most interesting stuff though has been coming from Boylan and the fact that he's obviously finally coming out and saying that they're going to be a modern basketball team and not be taking contested twos early or in the middle of a shot clock. They're only going to do that in desperation, which is smart, and they're going to go and look for those outside shots and make sure that they can get those open. And you could see that, at least in Zach's preseason so far, that he's taking much less twos, especially much long, jumper twos and not ones, near the rim. So he's going to try to become what we see a modern day NBA player be, driving to the rim and making most of his shots there or shooting from the outside. And if he does become that type of player, I think we can definitely see a jump from Zach LaVine. Now, the all-star thing is tricky. Do I think he can be an all-star caliber player? Yes, and I think he was that last year as well. You look at what he was doing, at least in the first 51 games up to the all-star break last year. He had 23 points, 46.2% from the field, 35% pretty much from the line. I mean, you're putting up 23 points a night. I mean, you're in elite category when it comes to scoring. Not a lot of guys are getting above 20 a night. So when you're up in that area, you're obviously not James Harden level getting 36 a night, but you are in that next level of scoring. So, and that usually attracts fan votes. It usually attracts some attention. He already has a name as well for what he has done at the dunk contest. So I think that he is in that all-star caliber type player. Now, will he become one? I think that's a different question because you have to be on a team that's winning. You have to be a team that is, or at least a player that is, kind of making a lot of headlines. And Zach started off the season doing that with his start of 30 games, 30 points per game, 30 points, 33 points, 34 points, 32 points, 4 straight games with 30 points. He was absolutely on fire in the first 4 games to start off the season. If he has a string of that where it goes through, to 8 games or something crazy like that, I think he was the first player since Jordan to have 4 straight 30-point games to start off a season. If he has stuff like that where he's making headlines and putting himself in more elite categories, then I think that he can at least become an all-star this year. But it's not just, will his play make him an all-star, because it does, come into fan voting and everything like that. So do I think he's an all-star caliber player? Yes. Will he be one? That's a different question.
And I'm going to go one step further, because the one answer I'm glad I didn't get was I was expecting could Zach LaVine be an all-star? Well, of course. Kawhi's in the West now. So that opens up the spot.
You're the only person who thinks that way.
I'm glad I didn't get that answer.
You're the only person who's like, hey, the weak East.
I'm gonna go one step higher for Zach, and I'm glad I can finally do this because we're not on the fast break. We're on Superfans.
Sure.
Zach LaVine's gonna be an all-pro player this year, all NBA team. He's gonna make one this year. It'll probably be third team. I'm not saying he's gonna make first team. He's gonna make second. He will be a third all NBA player this year, and the reason why is last year, really good year for Zach. You look at the stats. You look at everything, like he was shooting really well, 46% from the field. He was scoring about 23, almost 24 points per game. The 3-point number, 37 isn't bad, but if he can improve on that, that's like I said, the thing in this preseason I'm love seeing is that he's jacking up about 6.5 per game, and he's making that 3.5. And can we see a better 3-point shot this season as the regular season rolls along? There's 2 players I look at to where you might say, well, Ricky, whose spot is he going to take? If you look at Blake Griffin and Kemba Walker last year.
Okay, well, first off, Blake is a forward. You can't take a forward spot as a guard.
Kemba Walker. The thing I look at is I look at their stats from last year, eerily similar. Yes, Kemba had 1 more point per game, but defensively, Zach, if we're looking stat-wise, was a little bit better. Had about 0.2 more steals. They had about the same blocks per game.
That doesn't.
The only thing, Zach shot better than Kemba last year. The only thing that Kemba had on Zach was that he had more assists. And is that the thing that Zach needs to do to make an all-pro team, an all-NBA team is, hey, he's got to have more than the 4.5 assists that he had last year.
Pretty good for a 2-guard.
Yeah, and I mean, Kemba's assist numbers last year was 5.9. So he was having almost about assist and a half per game than Zach was. It's I'm looking at that and I'm going, especially Kemba Walker going over to Boston, where it's going to be different than the Hornets, where the Hornets was basically Kemba Walker, he's the team. Boston's not going to be that. Is his numbers going to take a little bit of a hit? His play going to be different, and that could open the door for Zach to be an All-NBA player.
Kemba, when he was on a better team, is a better defender than Zach LaVine. Kemba Walker is not a horrible defender, and you look at the numbers that he has produced when he's on a team, especially in that 2014, 2013, 2015 range, when this Charlotte team was better and they're not dealing with Nicholas Batum's awful contract and they're going to the playoffs, he had a defensive rating that was very respectable, around 105. So he can prove that he can be a better defender, and maybe next to Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, some of these guys that are trying to take steps up defensively, that we will see Kemba Walker show that he is a very good defender. He can be a good defender when he has the teammates around him. He wasn't playing with any of those elite talented players last year, and I don't know if Jason Tatum's elite yet, but he definitely has the potential to become one. I think same for Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart is already an elite defender, so I think defensively Kemba Walker does have the edge. And yes, Kemba's switching places, but one thing that Boston is for sure going to be is a playoff team. And you look at that All-NBA team, out of the 15 players, only 2 players did not make the playoffs on their team. Kemba Walker, who was a better guard last year on a non-playoff team, just like Zach LaVine. That's why he made it. And then LeBron fucking James. So it's going to be very hard for Zach LaVine to become an All-Pro if he's not making the playoffs, if the Chicago Bulls are not making the playoffs, and to kick out any of these players. Because, the one that I think is probably the most vulnerable to be lost, I think there's probably 2. Harden's still going to be up there. If Curry stays healthy, he's going to be there. If Dame's there, he's going to be. If Dame's healthy, he's going to be there. Kyrie, I worry about just because he's had so many health issues before. I think that's more of a write-off than Steph because if Kyrie's injured, we don't know how that's going to really affect his game. Steph's been playing injured throughout his whole entire career. So if Steph's out for a little bit, I think Steph can jump right back into the swing of things probably more than Kyrie can. And Kyrie's been playing injured for most of his life as well. I just have seen it more from Steph, and Steph's just a better player than Kyrie. So, when they're coming back, I think Steph will have more of an easier time producing than Kyrie will. So I think Kyrie's spot is a little bit iffy, and then Russ's. Russ was also, he made his 8th All-NBA team last year. We don't know how he exactly is going to fit next to James Harden, and we don't know if he's going to be able to put up a triple-double again like he has for the past 3 years. So I think those 2 spots are probably the most vulnerable. Kemba Walker is a stud, and I know that you're bringing up the points and all that stuff and the assist numbers, but Kemba Walker is going to become a more efficient player this year, I think. He's usually around that 40% mark. This is his worst 3-point shooting percentage since 2014, 2015. Now you're giving him more offensive players. You have a great passing forward in Gordon Hayward as well. You have the ability for guys like Carson Edwards and Marcus Smart to bring up the ball. So I think that this team that relies on passing, getting guys open, Kemba Walker's percentages and efficient percentages are going to go up, and maybe his points go down, but we see Kyrie Irving on this same team make All-Pro, and I think Kemba Walker is in that spot that he is pretty much locked in to make it unless he has some atrocious year where this ball isn't being moved and he's shooting horribly from the field and he drops well below 20 points per game. I think Kemba Walker's a lock. I think the 2 that are up there for All-NBA guards would be Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving. But even then, I find it very hard for Zach LaVine to get into that kind of group of the top 6 guards in the NBA.
And I want to throw this out, Dave. I want to pitch the question to you and that's one of the reasons why I had looked at Blake Griffin when I was thinking about All-NBA is you think about Blake Griffin last year. If you're looking stats compared to Zach, they're fairly similar. One doesn't take a huge jump compared to the other. No, they're around would I say that Blake's was a little bit better?
Blake was was in categories, at least statistically, with LeBron and Giannis.
But
he was a top 5 player in the league.
I look at the shooting. I look at the field goal percentage. I look at the 3-pointer. It's like Zach wasn't leaps and bounds behind where Blake Griffin was. But you look at that Pistons team.
Blake Griffin's a forward averaging 5 assists per game.
I know, but the thing I'm looking at is it's a point that you brought up that's important. Is you look at that Pistons team with Blake. What did they do? They made the 8th seed. If they don't make the 8th seed, is Blake Griffin necessarily? Are we having a different conversation where it's like maybe he doesn't make that All-NBA team? How much did that play into it? I wanted to shoot this of what Sean said, where they have to make the playoffs. Dave, I believe you were with me with the Bulls making the playoffs this year.
Yes, sir.
How does it get done? How does it get done? Is it just the whole team being healthy? And is this just if Zach gets the 8th seed, he's an All-NBA player?
I think if Zach puts up 26, 5, and 5 on similar shooting splits that he had last year, then he's an All-NBA player. At that point, you have a playoff team, you have a scoring guard who is doing it all, and you have someone who is scoring in the upper, percent of the NBA in general at that point. I mean, there might only be 2-3 guys above him for points per game. I think that's the kind of an effort it would take to get him into this category. Without that, I agree, Sean, the playoff spot is critical. I think one of the big reasons why Zach didn't get that All-Star bump versus D'Lo was the fact that the Nets had been so surprising with you lose Karis LeVert, who looked like he was the guy on that team, and D'Lo stepped in and was able to be a true point guard for them and create his own shot and do everything else for them. He got that love because his team was able to win games and kind of surprise expectations. Meanwhile, the Bulls were just like a factory of injuries, sadness, and G-leaguers. And you don't want to promote bad players because it's Devin Booker syndrome. Like, you can't bring up Zach LaVine without Devin Booker in my mind, because Devin's just a better version of Zach right now. And when I look at it, it's just like, look, you're a very good player on a very bad team. This will be the year where everything lines up for Zach. If he doesn't make this opportunity count, then the question will always be there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Bulls last year at the All-Star break had 14 wins. They were 14-44. So, I mean, you can't have that type of production going in and being an All-Star. I mean, that's just if you're on that bad of a team, it doesn't matter what your stats are. Yes, it's Devin Booker syndrome for 100%, but you look at all the guys that made it. Victor Oladipo made it. He was on a playoff team. He was also injured, but they obviously had a replacement. But he was on a playoff team. Russ was on a playoff team. LaMarcus was on a playoff team. Clay was on a playoff team. Jokic was on a playoff team. Vucevic was on a playoff team. Lowry was a playoff team. Middleton. Dirk was just a charity thing. D'Angelo was a playoff team. Blake was on a playoff team. Bradley Beal had a historic year of 25, 5 and 5, and was shooting
playing amazing defense and shooting incredibly
above average. Yeah, I mean 40%. I think was him shooting for 3. And Bradley Beal also wasn't an All NBA team player last year. And I think if he puts up numbers that we were seeing when John Wall went down of maybe near 27, 7 and 7, I do think that he's going to take a spot, even if he's on a horrible team. He's just one of those elite players where I don't think Zach is in that conversation yet. AD is AD. You really can't. It doesn't matter if he's not on a playoff team. Pretty much the guys that didn't make the playoffs were Bradley Beal, AD, and Cat, I think, were the ones, and then Kemba as well. So those are the 3 guys that were All-Stars last year that didn't make playoff teams, and all of those guys are elite and established. Kemba Walker's been a 3-time All-Star before. He's established as one of the top 5 guards, at least point guards, in the league. AD is a top 7 player in the league, and Bradley Beal, I think you could probably make an argument that he's probably top 15 now.
But is it because I write Bradley Beal off only because the Wizards aren't making the playoffs this year?
Well, that's the thing is where's the percentage?
But they were garbage last year as well.
Yeah.
It's because he's an elite two-way player. Probably, I mean, he's probably better than Clay.
But the thing,
he is.
I've been telling guys. So I mean, you look at Clay as an All-Star no matter what.
Like you said, where you made what's going to help Zach is making the playoffs. Then Bradley Beal would not be an All-NBA team just because the Wizards aren't going to make the playoffs. Like, I don't think, unless they have a surprising year to me, I don't see them as a playoff.
They should not be a playoff team. The point is that he actually plays on the other half of the court where Zach didn't. So that's sort of the separator there for me.
And they're very and Beal's also a better offensive player.
Yeah.
So the thing that Zach has on him, or you think has on him, would be offensively, but Bradley Beal is better offensively than Zach LaVine is. I mean, Bradley Beal is an elite player, and that's why he can make the All-Star game as a non-playoff team. And also, it doesn't matter what team he's on, at least for that fact, because he can't control that. Yes, he signed the extension, so he is kind of controlling his destiny a little bit there. But you really can't control the guys that are around you. You can't control John Wall not being there.
Yeah.
And I think with Zach too, it's just. I don't think Zach has established him yet as a guy that if he was traded to a different team, he'd be putting up these stats. If you took Bradley Beal and put him on the Lakers, he would be doing this, if not more efficiently. I mean, with LeBron James, with Anthony Davis, he might not be putting up 25 a night, but he's putting up 20 a night at 50, 40, and 90, or maybe I think he's never been above 90.
80.
Yeah, so he'd be like 50, 40, 80, playing elite defense. I mean, he would be a top guard in the league. He already is one. So, I mean, that's the thing is a lot of these players are already established. And I don't think anyone looks at Zach LaVine as a game-changing, franchise-changing player yet.
Well, and I think that's okay. And the reason why I'm going to say, yes, I know with me coming out saying, hey, he's going to make an All-NBA team this year, people may be saying, well, Ricky, slow your roll, because we were talking before the podcast about guys entering their prime and what year that happens. Zach has made since coming over to the Bulls, the first year I'm looking just at scoring, of course, defensively this year, we're going to hope to see a jump from Zach, but like he came in as a 16 point per game guy, only played the 24 games.
Off of
he was
his
dealing
injury.
with the injury.
Yeah.
And the big he got the contract, and I was against it. I was like, why did we just let him walk to the Kings? And I am eating crow now. Zach, I love you. I'm sorry I doubted you. But that's just how I felt. I didn't have confidence in him. And then last year was the jump. Like, oh shit, this is what we could see from Zach. And he's 23, going to be 24 this year. He's not even entering, he's entering the prime. It's 2 years away.
He's already 24.
Pre-prime. Well, 24 then this year is what he'll be. He's pre-prime. He's going to be entering his prime. If we've already seen this jump, what kind of a jump should we see this year and before the prime? And that's what we'll kind of end with is this year, what do you think the year looks like for Zach as he continues to enter that prime, which the sky could be the limit for Zach LaVine if he has an increase like he did from 2018 to 2019.
Slow your roll with the sky's the limit. The sky limit is saying that he could be LeBron James or Michael Jordan. He's not going to be that good. I mean, I think he has a ton of potential for sure. I mean, you have this athleticism, you have this ability to shoot from the outside. He is definitely a modern player. He's perfect.
He's an incredible finisher too.
Yeah, you're great around the rim. You're great from the outside. That is perfect. He's not that good of a defender. You're eating up a ton of assists because you're mainly your point guard because you don't have a point guard. That's probably going to change with Satoransky. That's likely going to change now with Chris Dunn probably getting less minutes, but that's going to keep his health up there. So I wouldn't be shocked if the assist numbers go down. Can Zach average 25 points per game this year? Probably. Can he be around the same efficiency as he was last year, at least from three? I think so. I think that he would probably be around that 46, 36, 80, and then 25, 3.8, and then 5 range again. So, 25 points, 3.8 assists, and 5 boards a game. I think he's probably in that area. Is that all-star caliber? For sure. Is that all-pro level? No. But I think that if this team is near 500, I think that he can definitely put his name into that race of becoming an all-star. I think that if he's able to capitalize on the highlight-making playability and he's able to have a signature performance like a 40-plus game, 40-point plus game this year, and if he could have a signature game-winning shot or something like that, that's going to put him into the mind of the NBA public. And I think that he can probably hit that all-star mark, but it's going to be dependent on, making sure that he's hitting career highs pretty much every single month just to make sure that he can get to that level. It's definitely possible, but I would probably say that it's 50-50.
I think it is pretty possible. One of the things just off the bat is Bradley Beal wasn't an All-Star until his 24th year. Just to tag that out there, so it's not like he's
his 24th year on this planet.
Exactly. It's not like he's off track or anything in this case. And he, like you said, he already had a pretty big injury in his career that he fought through. Another interesting note is that after the Otto Porter trade, he had an incredible shooting split. I know, small game size, so take this with a little bit of asterisk or whatever, but he was putting up 26, 5.5, 5.5 on 50, 45, 75 shooting splits, taking 5.5 threes a game for that 17 game stretch after the Otto Porter trade. So I think that's probably undervaluing what he can do when you have other guys, other weapons on the offense around him. Because remember, this is a team where their windows never really lined up between having Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. I don't think they played more than 5 games with that lineup, period. Like, there just was...
Someone's been injured at some point.
Someone or multiple have been injured. So when you add in a weapon like Otto Porter out there to space the floor, somebody else who can make shots happen, you see the immediate increase in three-point percentage because his quality of shots got so much better.
Just to at least give some thought to, because the Beal comparison is definitely interesting. Beal had a fantastic year the year before. He had a better year, actually, the year before he was an All-Star. But that team was a playoff team the year before as well. So I think they were 49-34 or something like that the year before he became an All-Star. And then the next year, they were 33-24 going into the All-Star break. So you think that if Zach LaVine's going to become an All-Star, they have to be around that range of record-wise. But the other thing, too, is that he was always drawing attention as well, because he had John Wall, because he had maybe not a superstar, but a very high profile counterpart next to him. And this was a team that was already getting attention because they were in the playoffs last year. And I think Bradley Beal, the playoffs before, had a very good playoff run as well.
Yeah,
so I think that was a lot of
the peak time for the Wizards and the Celtics series, the Wizards and the Raptors. Like there was always that hype around those.
So I think it's going to be very iffy on whether he makes it or not. I mean, he definitely has the points and the eye-drawing numbers, but like Bradley Beal, the year before he became an All-Star, 13 games, he was shooting 47.1 from the field, 28.7% from three, but he was putting up 24.8 points per game, at least in those 13 games in the playoffs. So I think that Zach doesn't have the prior playoff experience that I think is going to hurt him a little bit. He does have the dunk contest thing, which is going to help his profile a little bit more. And then it really just is going to come to what's around him and what this team's able to do. So is it possible? Yes, but I think there's are a lot of things that could go wrong that could possibly spoil a Zach LaVine All-Star bid.
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing with Zach is if he doesn't make the All-Star game or he doesn't make an All-NBA team, am I upset? No, maybe a little bit with the All-Star, depending on who gets in above him, especially if it's like someone that you have a case against. But for me, the biggest thing with Zach that I'm looking for is that growth. And for me, the three areas that I look at is I want a little, like you say, a little bit more scoring per game, 25. That ain't that much, though. Like when you look at the averages, it's only 2 points per game that he had last year.
Right.
Better defense.
It's technically 1.3.
1.3. Sean pushing.
I'm saying I think 26 is the number.
I wanted to say, but I know that was too high.
No, 26 is the number.
Defensively, if he can get better there, but like you mentioned, Dave, he's already that's already
made
on
it a
his
point.
mind. Yeah, to get better defensively.
He played 34.5 minutes last year, coming off an injury. I mean, so if he actually does play 36 minutes, his per 36 are 24.7 points per game. So it is probably possible if he does get a minutes increase to get to that 26 mark for you. I mean, for what you guys are looking at.
Yeah, and then the third thing is I want to see. I know that 37% isn't bad, but I would love 39-40 from beyond the arc this year. But I don't know if that's like me expecting too much out of him because I mean, you look at the best shooter in the
45 when they add Otto Porter.
You look at the best shooter in the game, Steph Curry, shooting about 43% last year.
Yeah, and
that was just off of last year's stat line. But I mean, I would love to see that.
It's also different because you're taking in spot up shooters, you're taking all that stuff. I mean, guys who actually
it's a different system. Too.
Yeah, I mean, guys who are actually playing over 60 games. The number of guys that are shooting 40% is pretty minimal. It's 30 guys, and even then, I don't know. Yeah, some of these guys are 3
once you start to take the attempts out of it.
Yeah,
it's like the Derrick Rose 3-point percentage, where
like Domantas Sabonis is the leader in 3-point percentage. So guys that are actually shooting high volumes, it's like Seth, Steph, Danny Green, Joe Harris, Buddy Hield, Brogdon. So I mean, getting to that 40% mark is elite of the elite, and I don't know if Zach is in that category.
And the last thing is, how healthy can this team be? Because I think that Zach can lead this team to the playoffs, but we all have to be out there healthy for that to happen. But you guys, let us know what you think down below. What are your expectations for Zach? Will he be an all-star this year? Could he be an all-NBA and all-pro player this year as well?
Players who played 60 games and took more than 5 attempts per game, there was 10 guys who shot above 40% last year. Zach was 20th with 37.4.
Okay.
So I mean, he's going to need to take a significant jump.
Well, you guys let us know what you think down below in that comment section. And let's move in. The next thing we're looking at is Coby White. And before we get into Coby White, if you're joining us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure to check us out on twitch.tv/Mosville Podcast. Going to be doing a lot more live podcasts in the future. Go ahead, hit us a follow on there. And also, if you got that Amazon or Twitch Prime, go ahead and throw that free sub that Amazon Prime gives you each and every month our way. That's twitch.tv/Mosville Podcast. Almost forgot the URL in my head. But guys, now we're taking a look at Coby White, the hot young rookie that I think it's Kyle Craig on Twitter, always tweets me after every single Bulls game. He's like, I think you found something there, Ricky. I think you got your guy. Because so far this preseason, Coby White started off a little, I'm going to say pedestrian, 12 points, 13 points. We lose to the Bucks. We lose to the Pelicans.
Trade him now.
But then the last three and I know it's preseason, overreaction preseason.
Do you guys know that it's preseason? You guys keep talking like they're actually going to mean something.
But like
they do.
I'm hyped because not only and of course he only started I think one game, this preseason, but he's getting minutes like he's a starter off the bench, basically 6-man minutes in my mind. But he's got a 24-point performance against the Pacers. He put up 29 against the Hawks, but put up 29 against the Hawks in the last preseason game coming off the bench. The question I want to throw out there is, could Coby White be an all-rookie first-team player this year for the Chicago Bulls? Dave, I'm going to go to you first because I know Sean's answer.
Yup. It's a fat yup. Sean.
Is the answer can he or will he?
Will he? We'll say will he.
Absolutely not. I mean, will he? No. Can he? Yes, anyone can. I could be all rookie. I mean, Jesus Christ. If I went out there and hustled my white ass off, right, and I was just shooting 40% from three.
I don't think you're shooting 40%
If I
from three.
Joe Harris'd my rookie season in the NBA.
Yeah,
very difficult because Joe Harris is a professional athlete, and I'm me.
Here's the question.
You've got a better chance of like Carson Edwards in it.
No, I don't.
You guys are about the same height.
That's true. But I don't have the ball handling skills or the speed or the thighs or the calves of Carson Edwards.
It's very
so
true.
I'm going to be more of a Joe Harris type.
Okay.
Actually, I'm more of a Mikhail Petrus type, but just 5'7". Anyways, I don't think he can be.
What doesn't this kid have? He can ball handle. He can score from all three levels.
Well, one, you need to at least be high. I think he doesn't have the draft slot. And a lot of these rankings are mainly hype. You look at last year, and it was Luka Doncic, top 5 pick, Trae Young, top 5 pick, DeAndre Ayton, the number 1 overall pick, Jaren Jackson Jr., number 4 overall pick, and then Marvin Bagley, number 2 overall pick. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those guys weren't the 5 best rookies last year. So you're going to have to be in that upper tier. He is top 10, which is definitely going to help him. But do I think that if Zion plays 60 games and we expect Zion to put up anywhere near Zion numbers, that he's not going to be all rookie? 100%. John Morant is probably right now, since the Zion news dropped about him being injured, he's probably now the front runner for Rookie of the Year.
Fat.
No, it's hurt knee because he's
Yeah,
fat. There's an asterisk.
He's gonna
because he's fat.
Because he's got to do some cardio.
But John Morant's probably now the front runner for Rookie of the Year because of Zion's injury news. RJ Barrett is going to be in New York, which is going to get him votes. And if he's not horribly inefficient and he's just putting up like 15 points per game, he's 100% a first-team rookie there. So you have 3 spots already filled just by their draft selection slots on their own. So he's going to have 2 slots then to slide in, and then you have to look at the guys that are going to be starting, the guys that are going to get minutes consistently. Coby White is not going to be a starter. We already know the starting 5 for the Chicago Bulls.
But if he's getting like, he was
he's
getting
our
like
de facto
26 minutes off the bench.
It's preseason. You want him to get the minutes now because he might not get those minutes in the regular season. Quit citing these like it's going to actually. If Coby White gets 26 minutes next year, I will shave my head on this podcast.
All right.
I'm so in on this.
This year.
Coby White's going to have
you
a
have
great
to shave
season.
yours. If he gets under 26
Why
minutes.
me?
Because he already shaves his head.
What if he shaves
doesn't know style.
What if he shaves his head and his beard?
I've done that before.
He looks. That's just. I mean, he's already got a Spider-Man backpack. I mean, this kid's already in the hole.
No,
he's wearing
just
a SmackDown
just
shirt.
shave
He's
head.
got a Spider-Man.
Just shave head.
He already has a buzz cut. He's like an 8-year-old.
What's wrong with the SmackDown?
He is the original man-child.
Anyways,
I don't know if I want to put up my hair. I got good hair,
It grows
man.
back.
Yeah, but I got good hair.
Anyways, I think starting is important as well because you look at the guys, and I think that Bagley was iffy. He wasn't a starter for that team.
He actually was held back by his coach for half a year, basically.
And Jackson wasn't either because, again, he was in foul trouble, so he was a little bit iffy. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a starter. Colin Sexton was a starter. Landry Shamet pretty much started for 2 teams. He
didn't start for the Sixers.
He
was off the bench for.
He had a couple starts for them. It wasn't like major. I think that you check it.
That's what I'm saying.
I think he had 4 starts.
Yeah. Four starts out of the 54
he started
games
27 games, though. I don't know if Coby White's going to start 27 games. Mitchell Robinson started a lot of games near the end. I think he probably started over 40 games when it's all said and done. Herter started a decent amount of games, I'm pretty sure. And then, those were the 10 right there. So, I mean, I think starting is important as well. And I don't think he's going to be a large starter. He might start in maybe 15 games this year. So, I think that he's just behind the 8 ball because this team isn't awful like the Mavericks, the Suns, the Hawks, the Grizzlies, and Kings, or not the Kings, but the Grizzlies, Suns, Hawks, and Mavericks were last year, or the Cavs as well, to get him automatic minutes. So I think that's going to be something that holds him back. And as well, on top of this, we don't know what Michael Porter Jr. is going to do. And Michael Porter Jr. is a high-profile player. The only reason why he wasn't a top 5 pick was because of his injuries. And now this is technically his rookie season. And if he comes out and is a very impactful player at 6'11" and putting up 13 points and doing it from every part of the floor, whether it be mid-range, whether it be three-point land, whether it be right near the rim, he is going to draw attention and draw votes. So, and he's going to be on a playoff team as well. So I do think that
keeps going against him if he doesn't get the touches.
For sure, but I think he's going to get more shine than Coby can if they're getting the same amount of minutes, and they're both healthy, obviously. So I think that the will part is difficult because I think he's got a lot stacked against him. Can he? For sure. If he goes out and makes the most of his minutes, he 100% can make first team All-Rookie. I think he's probably going to be second team All-Rookie. But I think it's going to be tough because there's a lot stacked against him because I think 3 of those spots
the 3
are
locks
filled.
is really tough.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with you.
It's not as if Zion gets fully hurt.
Yeah.
But I think those are 3 locks right there. Porter Jr. is an absolute wild card, and he could take that immediately if he's getting the same amount of minutes as Coby White. And then you have that last and final spot. And if any of these other guys, any of these other, 27 rookies.
No, I mean, you got the second round and the undrafteds, too.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anybody that comes up. Naz Reid, too, so.
Definitely not Naz Reid.
I'm going to go ahead and stand on the ledge.
What's Naz Reid's playoff spots?
Taco Fall's got to be an all first team, right? If Naz Reid's getting it, Taco Fall has to as well. I think it's totally where I feel like, yes, he will be an NBA for I was coming into this where, no, it might be tough because I thought it was the same thing that Sean was thinking about the all-NBA teams where it's you have center, forward, guard. But since it's not like that, he can totally do it and he will do it. And the reason why is the 3 locks, of course, Zion, Ja, RJ.
Yep.
I feel like they're all going to be there. After that, to me, I almost see it as like a crapshoot where it's depending on how these guys do, because Darius Garland, I could see doing it, but what type of year do we expect from him next to? He's got to play next to Colin Sexton. Are they just both going to get theirs because Cleveland's so bad this year? DeAndre Hunter, I don't think, is going to be able to do enough on that Hawks team to be an all-first team NBA rookie. Jarrett Culver, I don't know what to expect from him in Minnesota.
Rocking that bench unit. If he's going to be able to, and if he's rocking the bench unit. I do think, by the way, Coby could get 30, I'm saying 35, 36, because you look at also Kyle Kuzma started 37 of his 77. Dario Saric, when he made all-rookie first team, 36, I want to say. 36, Mitch Robb only had 19.
Exactly. So I feel like, especially late in the year, Sean and you and I talked about with Coby White and his expectations. After the trade deadline, Coby White could be getting some starting minutes, especially, let's say, if there's an injury that happens, because, knock on wood, but it's a Bulls team. We're used to it.
Yep,
and if Chris Dunn gets traded, where are those minutes going to go? They're going to go to Coby White.
Archie Diacono.
Yeah, Archie Diacono. Archie then becomes the third guy. But the Michael Porter Jr. one is interesting.
Yeah.
The only devil's advocate I'm going to play is...
I got to stop you real quick.
If you're harping on Coby White's minutes...
I got to stop you real quick. Okay,
Why?
keep your thought in your mind.
Yeah.
Did you see the score of the Illinois game?
It was 40-7 last time I checked.
No, Illinois fighting Illini.
Football. It was 40-7, I thought.
No, it's 24-21. Illinois just beat Wisconsin.
Oh, shit.
Illinois just beat Wisconsin. The fuck?
Congratulations. 24-23. Last second field goal.
We're putting a pause on this discussion for a second. You know what's funny about that?
Huh.
My mentor teacher at school asked me, so can Illinois cover the spread? And I said, I wouldn't take that bet. What the fuck? Lovey saved his job?
I guess.
Question mark? So I'm going to try to resume myself. There was a jump cut there. I'm going to let everyone know. Sean had to let me know as we're recording that Illinois beat Wisconsin, and I just totally didn't expect that to happen.
For the first time since, what was it, the Ohio State upset?
Yes.
This is probably the
Juice
biggest
Williams.
victory. Yeah, the biggest victory in 13 years of this program.
Exactly. So, I mean, there was a jump cut there. But what I was saying was I'm going to play devil's advocate here to Sean's point where you're talking about Coby White preseason. Well, is he going to get the 26 minutes? Michael Porter Jr., yes, coming off of injury, was only getting 16 minutes so far in preseason. So, like, how many minutes is he going to be able to get in the regular season
again,
with that stacked
You're using
team?
preseason and then just looking at the numbers and saying that is what this is. That's what you're going to see. They're giving Michael Porter Jr. 16 minutes because they don't want to gas him. They don't want to like overuse him and then have him get injured in the preseason.
Where Cody's not coming off.
They're building him up to make sure that he is, being able to get back in the field, late into games against the worst part of a preseason roster, so that he can get the feel for basketball again. And if he makes mistakes, whatever, it's the last seconds of of a preseason game. Where Coby White, they're trying to get him as much minutes as possible so he can see everything that's going on in a basketball game, because they don't know how many minutes they can give to him if they are a competitive team going for the playoffs. Where this Nugget team, they already know what they are. They don't need Nikola Jokic taking 30 minutes a game. They don't need Jamal Murray getting 30 minutes a game in the preseason, where and Michael Porter Jr. can get those minutes by himself and just make sure that he can get back into the rhythm of the game. So Coby White's getting those minutes and that many minutes just so that he can at least find some connectivity with this starting lineup and with the players that are on this team, the players that he's going to be playing with, where Michael Porter Jr. has been in that locker room for an entire year with his injury, and they're just making sure that he can be conditioned and play in a basketball game against non-teammates. So I think it's completely different, and it's different scenarios. You can't be like, Michael Porter Jr. is going to get 16 minutes a game because he's getting that in the preseason.
I'm just saying, like...
They have a very good lineup at larger
are
positions.
not.
They've added depth literally this offseason with Jeremy Grant. And the question comes down to, okay, so you've got Millsap, you've got Grant, and now you've got Porter. So if he's your third guy...
No, 100%. But the thing, too, is he is your third guy now.
Yeah.
But we already know that he is probably the most talented of those three players. I mean, if he is
He has the most
healthy,
upside. I don't know about most talented.
You look at what he's been doing, too. I mean, he's still got that
You can't
spark.
look at what he's been doing because he hasn't done anything.
No, but I'm just saying, like, in the preseason, it looks...
Preseason counts?
No,
preseason doesn't count.
But for him, it does.
Okay.
I'm not saying his stat numbers. I'm not saying, he's scoring 12 points a game in 16 minutes, so he's going to be an all-star. No, I'm saying
Well,
that
his per 48 numbers, he's a monster.
I'm saying that you look at his shooting stroke from what it was when he was at Missouri.
I agree.
He looks healthy.
Yes.
He looks fluid. He looks still athletic.
I don't know about fluid.
I think he looks more fluid than other top prospects, Markelle Fultz. But he does. I mean, it's still something that I'm very intrigued on what he's been doing, because it still feels like the pieces are there. It feels like everything needs to come together and mesh together. But I feel like it's just a process that's going to happen at some point. And once that flip switches, I think that he is probably the most talented player, at least out of that three bunches. Millsap's a very good player, but he's very smart. I don't think he's that gifted and talented.
Yeah, he's learned how to be an old man.
Yeah, he's a very smart player.
Yep.
Jeremy Grant is a very athletic player that has changed his game and molded to become an NBA player. He worked his ass off to be where he is.
He's a 3-and-D monster.
Michael Porter Jr. is a number one pick potential talent player. He can come in and drop 10 and very limited shots because he is that gifted.
Yeah.
He's 6'11" and that fluid and that athletic. You don't see that every single day. So I think that he is probably the most talented player they have there. He just needs to get back in the rhythm of playing basketball, and that's what they're trying to do in the preseason. So if he is back in that rhythm, he can definitely come up there and sneak one of those other non-two taken spots by RJ, Zion, and Ja.
That's fair.
To me, there's one rookie, though. So let's say
there's two.
We have the...
No, there's only one.
No. I'm saying there's...
One-man draft class.
There's the three locks we have. So we expect Zion, RJ, and Ja to be
Do you disagree on it?
No.
Okay.
I
just make
totally
sure.
agree.
Unanimous.
Unless RJ shits the bed this year.
If he pulls a Kevin Knox?
Yeah. Then he doesn't. But
Sorry, New York.
I
I'm just sticking
expect
local.
all three of those to be there.
Yeah. No, Peanut looks good.
There's only, out of all the rookies, there's only two that I look at. Like, Michael Porter Jr. is a good, Ben Simmons type of case. And I say Ben Simmons type of case because Ben didn't play his rookie year.
Right.
And his second year was his rookie year.
Agreed.
Shout out to Donovan Mitchell. But the thing that I look at is Tyler Hero. And Sean just made me forget who I was going to throw out the
Tyler
second
Hero.
one. Tyler Hero and Cam Reddish.
Really?
Because
I think you whiffed on the second one
no,
Chief.
No. The only reason I bring Cam Reddish to me is a wild card. If he has the season everyone's expecting him to, he's going to come out gangbusters and take this rookie class by storm. If he has one of those seasons, he's got the tools to be that type of player. Do I think it happens? No. Tyler Hero's the guy I look at, who I'm seeing already.
Yeah.
And I'm going, if he doesn't make first All-NBA team, or if he did, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, no, he's been lighting it up.
I know he's playing the Magic, but there was
every game in the preseason.
There's a game against the Magic. I saw the play where he gets knocked over by, I think it was Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah.
Comes right down, stares him down, hits the three, and then's talking trash to him.
Yeah, the entire way back.
Not even playing like a rookie. So like he's the one I look at where it's like I almost want to say if I said my first team, it'd be Zion, RJ, and Ja, Tyler Hero. And then Coby White, I think, sneaks in.
Yeah, so I think you whiffed on the potential for Reddish. Yeah. I disagree on Reddish.
There's a chance.
There's a small chance.
Like
there's a better chance.
Will be a second team to me.
That his teammate DeAndre Hunter makes it than Cam Reddish.
I mean, there's just two. It's Trae Young and John Collins show. Everybody else is an afterthought. So it'd be pretty hard for either one of those guys in my mind.
But I think if there is a opportunity for one of them to make it, I think Hunter has a better opportunity.
Hunter's going to get more minutes to start, I believe. Yeah,
and I think that
he's older. He's polished.
If he could fit his part of shooting from the outside and playing good defense, then he's going to be looked at in a good light.
For sure. My guy, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he has everything it takes to be a starting point guard right now.
He hit a big three against us to win the game.
He has been killing it in preseason. He had been killing it to end his time in college. Everything about him is a complete point guard game, and I don't think it's going to take long this year before he takes the starting job from Lonzo Ball.
Well, remember when you told me that he was a two guard and not a point guard?
I told you he is a combo guard because he is a combo guard, like Shea.
I was 100% on that point guard train from day one. I saw that in him. I love that kid. Yeah. I think it's going to be difficult, though. I don't think he's going to take Lonzo's spot. I think they're going to work him more into the lineup. He does look absolutely fantastic, 100%. But I don't think there's going to be a position where they're going to, because if they bench Lonzo, they're hurting draft stock. And that kid's always going to have draft stock. So as long as he's starting, I think that he's going to be...
He's just not...
He's going to have
looked
trade
good.
value. No, he is not. 100%. But he's also coming off an injury, so it's not
He's been hurt every year he's played.
Yeah.
He has no shot. He can't shoot free throws. He literally brings defense, quick touch passing, and up-tempo offense. That's it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but if they bench Lonzo Ball, they are hurting themselves in trade value.
Maybe we'll play the game of when Lonzo gets hurt, he will be the starting point guard.
Yeah, 100%. That's fine. But
I think that minutes-wise, he will get a lot down there because of the way the rotations are going to be set up. He will have a great opportunity on that team to stand out.
I see him as a next year player.
Okay.
What is he going to do next year when Lonzo's either not on the team if they move him, if they just realize that, hey, there is no trade value in Lonzo, let's see what we have in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. If Lonzo goes down and what Nickeil does in his absence, I think that's when he's going to fully get his opportunity. I think it's going to be next year. The guys that I'm looking at, I think another thing too, he's got a lot of blockage, and if I'm going to make that argument that Coby White has blockage, I have to also make that argument against Nickeil Alexander-Walker for blockage. I think the guys that are interesting to me, this kid, he's got some blockage, but he's going to have a very important role on a playoff team. It's Matisse Thybulle. He has been everything that he was in college when it comes to being a defensive stud for the Sixers so far in preseason. I know it's preseason, but I do think that's going to transfer over.
Could he do it on defense alone?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay.
That's the question.
Didn't DeJounte Murray do it?
DeJounte Murray was a...
He should have, but... DeJounte Murray was, I think he's very much in his Washington
he didn't
brother.
First or second.
No, but he was all defense.
Was DeJounte though? No, but I think he might have been sophomore year. I think DeJounte is kind of what I was describing with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Because he only played 38 games his rookie year. That's DeJounte.
It took him a long time to come through.
And then it was his second year that he became all defensive in 2017, 2018, and obviously got hurt. But I think that he's a guy that in Matisse, that if Matisse is, again, able to shoot threes well and be an impact player for a playoff team off the bench, that's going to put him in a better spot than I think Coby White, because A, playoff team shine, A, you're already getting more eyes on you because you're on the Sixers, you're playing in more primetime games and in more important games. And I think also, too, people love that defense, I mean, if you're going out there and averaging a steal and a half a game, or probably for him that's even selling him short. If he's averaging 2 steals a game and a block a game, and he's shooting 35% from 3 and around 8 points per game, that's going to be
interesting.
Huge for him. So I think he's a guy that you definitely need to watch. A guy who's kind of has some blockage, but I think can be very very sneaky, is Jonas Valanciunas is going to start off the season injured. This guy might get some starting minutes right away. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is always in foul trouble. So Brandon Clark, we saw what he could do in Summer League. He's continuing that in the preseason. We already know that he was the second best defender behind Zion Williamson last year in college. I think that that's going to be able to transfer over. I think we made too much of his size, or at least I did personally. I think I made too much about his size. I do think that he can be an impactful player, and if he's able to be efficient, at least offensively, he's going to get those defensive numbers as well. I agree with you on Tyler Hero for sure. And the final one, kind of in that same mindset of higher picks, this kid's going to start. There is no blockage for him. He's going to be a defensive player. He's going to be an offensive guy for this team. It's Jarrett Culver. I mean, he
hasn't looked like a starter, I'll be honest.
Everything that I've read, he says that he looks the part.
Okay.
So I haven't watched a ton of Minnesota Timberwolves preseason game, but at least reading up on what Jarrett Culver is doing. Okay. A lot of the local media has said that he's looked the part and has been in spots where he looks like he can be the starter for this team. And if he is the starter with Jeff Teague, with Karl-Anthony Towns, with Andrew Wiggins possibly taking off some pressure for him, if he's able to fill that role, I think that he can be an all rookie player as well. So I think that it's just going to be tough for Coby because this is such a great draft class that Coby is going to have to come off the bench, be massively impactful in that spot, because I don't think he's going to take a starting job because you're not going to take away starting job from Zach LaVine. We already just talked about him possibly being an all-star. And Satoransky, I think, fits what they want to do offensively and defensively when it comes to that starting lineup. So he's going to have to be massively impactful in the minutes that he gets. And I don't know if I see that in him. I think that he is I think that Coby White can be inconsistent, is what I'm saying. I don't think he's going to be... He's 19 years old, and that's fine if you're inconsistent as a rookie. But I think that he has more of an inconsistency to his game than guys like Jarrett Culver, Matisse Thybulle, Brandon Clark, where it's mainly defense, and you have to be in the right spots, and your athleticism can make up for a lot of the things that you lack there, or just three-point shooting. You got Ben Simmons getting you open looks. You have Joel Embiid getting you open looks. You have Karl-Anthony Towns passing out a low post to get you open looks. Jeff Teague, who's a very decent point guard, to get you looks as well.
A very decent point guard. I like how you're like,
I feel like he's a great point guard. But you have the ability to, for if you're fitting your role and you have some shine to you coming into this season, you can make this all rookie team. That's what I've seen, at least historically. And I think that it's going to be tough for Coby White to make an all-rookie team, and that's why I don't think he will make first team. I think that he'll make second team, but I don't think he will make first team.
See, I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to say the only reason why I'm going to say yes is...
I'm going to be bold. Coby White's the MVP.
No.
Sorry, Giannis.
No. I would say that, if Zion went down, obviously...
For the year?
Yeah, then obviously Ja's your rookie of the year, but I would put maybe...
Favorite, at least.
I would put if Zion went down and was out all year, I would say Ja's the favorite, RJ's second. There's a chance that maybe a Tyler Hero or Coby White come in and steal it. More so of a Coby because he's going to be more of the ball handler. But everything I've seen from Coby, I am so hyped to see him play this regular season. And I think he's going to have the opportunity because Chris Dunn to me... And maybe it's just a fan thing, but I was on Twitter, and the big thing is oh, look at Chris Dunn in this defense, and people just retweeting it saying, "Hey, all NBA teams, he's on the trade block. You can have him. We don't even want him anymore." That's kind of a thing. I feel bad for Chris Dunn, but that's kind of where he's at. Where if he gets traded at the trade deadline, that helps out Coby White. Also, you look at this team. Chandler Hutchinson hasn't been what we thought he was. I'd play Coby White over him. Denzel Valentine has been duty. I'd play Coby White over him. To me, off the bench, it's Chris Dunn right now because we can use him defensively.
But he's probably going to be traded for sure.
And then Coby White, Thaddeus Young, Daniel Gafford. Those are the main guys I'm looking to on that bench first.
Disrespect to Luke Cornett.
Before I go, and then Luke Cornett. But Chandler Hutchinson.
Nice.
Dude, his legs are
and Denzel.
He's hilarious.
Those are two guys I'm not looking at. I'd look at Archie Diacono. I'm looking at Archie before I look at any of them. To where I almost look at this where we talk about the three locks, Ja, Zion, and RJ. I'm going to go ahead and my prediction would be that I'm going to be bold and say Tyler Hero gets in all NBA first team.
He literally had
Coby
the best
White.
preseason of any
rookie. I'm going with both of them. So Coby White, Hero, Ja, RJ, and Zion. And then my second team would be Garland, Culver, Rui Hachimura, P.J. Washington and
what is
Nickeil.
White going to do that Garland isn't?
That Garland's like that's
so
the
if you
thing
have
where
him making second team, why do you not have Garland? Like, why do you have White over
Garland? Can't. I'm not saying he absolutely cannot. The thing that I look at where it's going to come down to stat lines. Obviously, I'm just more hyped on Coby White than Darius Garland.
Shocker.
But like, yes, it's super fans. But like,
Garland is
Darius Garland could be an
gifted.
NBA. Like he could be an NBA
he's
first
on
team.
A terrible team. I
Are
think
we
that's
not
a
giving
big
too
difference.
much love? Are we not giving enough love to Garland in this conversation?
We just haven't seen enough. He came out his first preseason game and went perfect, and then was like, done. And I was like, well, I want more. Give me like 35 minutes a game of preseason for the guy who's coming out from an injury. That's exact. I know I'm being irrational at that point, but it's like I haven't seen him play in so long that I was like, I just got a little taste of it. And I think that's what I need for Garland is to see more of him play. I wouldn't be 100% on putting him in this, but I wouldn't count him out either because this is a Cleveland team that's going to be playing from behind a lot, and the ball will likely end up in his hands just in garbage time.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think is going to hurt him because Colin Sexton had a great year too, was slept on. I think.
I mean, he was literally statistically like the worst rookie defender in history or something.
Yeah, but I mean, again,
like he had box plus minus was like an all-time historic terrible or something.
What he did in the second half was very impressive.
He shot very well.
Rookie, it's not like who's the best all-around player.
Very true.
Dude, you put up 16 points as a rookie. That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
I do wonder exactly what Darius Garland's going to be able to do, and it showed that playing in Cleveland on a bad team held back his rookie counterpart last year and his rookie teammate last year in Colin Sexton. So I am iffy on that. At least with the whole making the All-NBA team too as well. You look at the top 10 players in win shares last year. Luka was 3 in rookies. Mitchell Robinson was number 1. He was on. These are the guys that made. All the 10 rookies that made all rookie. Mitchell Robinson was 1, Ayton was 2, Doncic was 3, Bagley was 4, Shamet was 5, Shea was 6, Jaren Jackson was 7, Trey was 8, and then there's a jump. Kevin Huerter was at 16, and then let me find everyone else. Colin Sexton was on the team, but he was like he wasn't even top 100. When it comes to win shares last year, I think it was -6, and that's not even cracking top 10 for rookies last year. Then to go with that, it would be the final one. No, I got everybody. So all the other guys were like top 10 outside of Sexton when it comes to win shares. So I think if we're predicting the win shares, you have to look into defense. You have to look into bigs as well. I think that Zion, Ja, RJ, Culver, and I'm going to throw Brandon Clark in there as my first team. And then second team, I will throw in White, Garland.
You want to say PJ.
Hero. No, I don't want to say PJ. Thibault and
Carson Edwards.
That. Hold on. So the 3 names that popped into my head, one was Carson Edwards.
Yep.
The second one was Naz Reid, but he's not going to get enough minutes.
Yeah,
and I just love that kid.
Carson actually has a legit chance.
Nickeil was the other one, and then I think on top of that, the final guy was PJ. So I would probably say Nickeil. I think he's probably going to get a better. I think he's going to make more of his opportunity than Carson will. So that's my 10 for all rookie. So Kobe's going to make second team, but I don't think so. It is weird, though, that like DeAndre Hunter isn't getting that. Hayes isn't getting that. Hayes isn't getting that.
Hayes won't have a ton of playing time. They've already got 2 legit centers on that team, plus Zion.
He's not going to be Summer League Hayes.
I mean, dude's a monster.
Because that would have been first team all rookie right there.
But even with that, the guy who's the sophomore out of this bunch isn't even making it. Well, Culver's a sophomore as well last year coming to this. But Hunter, sophomore, not even going to make it. And I think he's probably a guy that we're probably overlooking.
I'm going to say mine where I'm not changing my first team. It's going to be Zion, Ja, RJ.
You said yours like 3 times.
Kobe. I'm changing my second team.
Oh, great.
Kobe and Tyler. My second team will be Garland, Hachimura, Thibault, Brandon Clark, and
Alexander Walker.
I'll throw him.
Y'all sleeping on him so fucking hard.
Yeah, I'll throw
sleeping on him. I had him the highest out of all of you in our mock drafts.
Sean said Thibault, and I was like, wait, he should probably be in my second team. So that's why I'll say Garland, Culver, Thibault.
You guys are just stealing off me from
Nickeil.
all rookie teams too.
Well,
It's ridiculous.
I'm going to be stupid if I don't have Thibault in the at least the second team. Go ahead, Dave.
I don't even want to go ahead.
You
guys just list off like half the draft 3 times over, and it's like, Dave, anything left? Is there anything left for you to pick off the bones in this
Nasir
carcass?
Little?
No.
These are you don't have to, you can have the same as us.
Yeah.
People
Sekou
have the same
Demboya.
ballots when they actually vote for these
No.
things, Dave.
Sekou has 0.
Cam Johnson.
If we're picking most likely to never make the all-rookie team, my never going to make the all-rookie
Kevin
team
Porter Jr.
is definitely going to be Cam Johnson, Sekou Demboya, Romeo Langford, Goga,
Bol.
and Luka.
Darius Basley.
Darius Basley has a better chance than those 5 guys. And those are all top picks. Nasir Little, I didn't even mention. Dylan Windler, 0 chance. Jordan Poole, outside chance. I will give him an outside shot because he's looked good in the preseason. They have no depth. And if Steph goes down, he's getting minutes regardless. Like, this kid's going to get 15 to 25 minutes easily this year, a game. Kevin Porter Jr. is the weird one because I don't know if you guys watched this preseason. Yeah. He went from looking incredible to looking terrible to looking like it's like that, like
inconsistent.
Exactly.
I'm like Kevin Porter Jr.
The one thing consistent about Kevin Porter Jr. is how inconsistent he is, and that will never change.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that he's like. Coby White's less inconsistent than Kevin Porter Jr., but he is in that range where he can have a night where he will put up 29 as super efficient, and then we'll just have a trash game where it's like 1 of 11 for the field. Also, I just want to clarify, in our last mock drafts, I had Nicky Alexander-Walker 16, Ricky had him going 15, and Dave had him 11.
Oh, so
Dave was highest.
So
I had him first, I think.
Bag of dicks to you. And on that note,
And that's how we're going to end it. So let us know, where do you think Coby White, will he be all NBA first team, second team? Will he not even make it?
not all NBA.
All rookie. All
Jesus.
NBA rookie team.
Jesus.
Well, we were talking about
Giving me a
Zach.
freaking heart attack
It's
here. Our
all
fans
right.
are going to kill us.
All NBA rookie team. Will he be first team, second team? What are you guys thinking? Let us know.
Kendrick
down
Nunn going to come out and
below.
get minutes for no reason this year?
Kendrick Nunn.
No,
Fighting
Tremont
lineup.
Waters.
No, Tremont Waters would be a good one. But let us know what you guys think. But let's close out the podcast moving. We talked about Zach. We talked about Coby. Now we're going to talk about someone who was injured for most of last year, and that's Lauri Markkanen. Before we get into it, though, make sure I'll pitch the Twitters. At Ricky Widmer, at Dave _ tweet.
Just pitch something.
At Most Valuable Pod.
Ricky.
And
You're selling me on it.
what
I would totally follow my
and
Twitter.
This kid doesn't even know what he was trying to sell me.
well, the thing that
That's
I will,
like it's like, hey man, would you like to buy this cord?
well, don't unplug it. Your computer will go off.
Oh.
But
That's not
it's-
how
that's your
laptops
bad.
work.
is it still at Schwarbo?
No, it's at Sean _ W _ Anderson.
Okay.
all professional now.
Because Dave and I saw it changed. Then it was like, wait, it's back. I saw later that night, I'm like, wait, it's back to Schwarbo.
I had a panic attack because I was doing the McNeil and Parkin show. Dan McNeil was out. He was in Canada fishing. And Nick Shipkowski was like, yeah, why are you at Schwarbo if you're a White Sox fan? Because he thought I was a Cubs fan. I was like, I can't have people thinking I'm a Cubs fan because I am a White Sox fan. So then I was going to go change it, and I was going to go change it to S.E. Anderson 670. I was like, ooh, and then I got some advice from Joe Ostrowski.
Because it looked like Sean Dearson.
Yeah, it was that, but it was also, he was like, I was iffy on putting the 670 thing in there because now I'd change it, but now I'm verified, so I can't. So I don't think I'll ever be verified, but if I am, I do want something that can travel outside of, if I ever leave 670.
Does the verified thing really matter?
I think it does.
Yeah,
The check mark
If
adds.
I did verified, I think I'd throw a party.
Okay.
That'd be sweet.
I'd show up for that
But
party.
yeah, then I went back to Schwarbo because
Could you
it
imagine
felt comfortable.
if he could hold that over our heads that he's verified and we're not?
Dave's
Dave's like, I
Twitter.
wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But with that too, and then I was like, oh, I'll keep Schwarbo, and then I tried to use just Sean or Sean Anderson, but all variations of that were taken. So it was a horrible week for me just trying to figure out a username. So my new @ is at Sean _ W _ Anderson. I can't even say it. So
Scene.
Yeah. So I told
regretting
Dave
it.
when Dave was like, oh, Sean changed his Twitter. I was like, great. I now have to change all Sean's graphics
There you go.
because all of your graphics for us say Schwarbo.
Well,
just leave it. I don't
At
care.
Schwarbo.
Doesn't matter.
well, if you want to hear about Lauri Markkanen, thanks for waiting 3 minutes.
Hey, well, and Sean, you're actually the one that proposed this one because when we were coming up with topics, I was like, oh, we'll talk Bulls, and then there's the Cubs added 2 more names to their list of people that, let's be honest, probably won't get the job, but I'm like, oh, it's 2 new people that are in the hunt, and you threw out, well, no, let's talk all Bulls, and you want to talk about Lauri Markkanen and what's his ceiling. So the thing I'm just going to throw it to you first, hoping that you got something because you threw out the topic. What do you think is Lauri Markkanen's ceiling? And basically, should we see that this year? Is it like, hey, you know what? We're not going to see this for yet another few years.
Yeah.
What were your thought process with this?
Well, we're definitely far away from his ceiling. I think the biggest reason why is because, A, he's only 22 years old, and he hasn't been healthy in those first 2 years. So I don't think we're near his ceiling. We were talking, too, about what prime starts to kick in. Typically, it was 26 to 30, right, was the idea. But I think now that's moved up a bit just because guys are coming into the league a little bit younger and guys are more physically developed, I think, just with advanced training. So I think that prime could really start around 24. I don't think he's near his prime. I don't think he's near his ceiling. So I wouldn't say he's close to that. This year isn't going to be a sign of his true ceiling. It will be a sign, hopefully, for Bulls fans and Markkanen himself for a step forward. The thing that I have loved about him is that he's been really consistent throughout his first 2 years. He was pretty much a 43% shooter from the field his rookie year. He was a 36% shooter from three his rookie and sophomore year. He grew a little bit from the free throw line, 84% to 87%. But he's been pretty consistent, and he's just taken steps further when getting more minutes. So that stuff is obviously good to see. And if he sticks around a 43% shooter and a 36% shooter from three, that'd be pretty sweet for, I think, Bulls fans. It's a little bit rough when you have a 7-footer not shooting near 50% from the field, and that's the one thing that's not going to make him Dirk. Dirk was an all-around offensive weapon. Dirk isn't most famous for his three-point shooting. Dirk is most famous for that fadeaway turnaround jumper. That is what is iconic. That's what's embroidered into the American Airlines Arena in Dallas now is that turnaround jumper. So that's what Dirk made his money doing, was being a big man that could stretch the floor. Markkanen is mainly a outside shooter. That's where he's going to make the majority of his buckets. Last year he took 15 shots, and six of those were threes last year. So I mean that's pretty much like a forward or a guard like split when it comes to your actual shooting. So Markkanen is a pretty unique player when it comes to his ability offensively. I think he's held back a little bit defensively, which isn't going to make him like a Kristaps. So I think that his ceiling is definitely lower than Dirk and Kristaps Porzingis. I think he's a very good offensive weapon. And when you put him into that range, it's tough then to find a spot for him because he's not as athletic as Cat. And I think maybe if he does become this uber efficient player, then maybe he gets to that Cat level of being a 7-footer that can shoot from the outside and then also be a scorer from all around. But he's really not that much of a good all-around scorer. He is just a very good outside scorer. So I think Markkanen's probably best ability might be like a souped-up Channing Frye. And I think that might be a little bit of a bad thing to hear, but Channing Frye was a very good player, just not as athletic. So I think that if you look at Markkanen, I think that he could be a more athletic Channing Frye.
I want to say, wasn't that one of the bad comps from draft night on him?
Yeah. What, Channing Frye?
Yeah.
I got one for you. What about, and I know you say like, well, he's probably not going to score a ton of points. What about like a K-Love? And I'm not talking about fat K-Love. I'm talking about K-Love, like what he's been
current K-Love
for the Cavaliers, because like you look at it,
that might be better than that may be better than souped up Channing Frye.
He's a guy where it's like in Cleveland, 16 to 19 points per game. He still gives you that at least 9 rebounds per game, which Lauri's been giving us. It's the 3-point percentage where early on in his career, he didn't shoot that well. He also had that one of the last years in Minnesota where he only shot 21%. But since coming over to the Cavs, he's been a 36% to that uber ultra year where he had the 41% off of about 5.5 attempts a game in 2017, 2018. I look at that and like that's what I think Lauri is. Does Lauri need to be our number 2? Because Zach's our 1. Like he's the star of the team.
Yep.
Lauri Markkanen doesn't need to be the second biggest star on this team. He can be the 3 of our big 3 that we're trying to build and draft or sign because or trade for, because that's what Zach was. Someone else can come in. If Coby White wants to develop into that too, if Otto Porter's going to stay and be that too, like Lauri Markkanen doesn't need to be the next best star behind Zach for us to be successful.
I just don't know if he is the physical player that Kevin Love is.
But as time's gone on,
a better comp.
that version of Kevin Love is less physical.
That's a better comp than Channing Frye. So I'll at least
admit
give
to
you
that. Yeah.
But Kevin Love, he's not as physical as he was. Yes, he's not like a 2020.
Yeah, he transitioned from being a big man on the low block.
He was still a very good rebounder.
Yeah, he's one of the best rebounders in the NBA.
When he was with the Cavs, and Markkanen isn't that. I mean, Kevin Love still in those Cleveland days was grabbing around 2 offensive boards a game, and Markkanen isn't in that area.
Yep.
So maybe a more timid Kevin Love. Like it's weird to find him a comp because he is a very unique
so you draw
player.
the triangle out of Kevin Love, Ryan Anderson, and Andrea Bargnani.
I mean, Markkanen last year though only had about 1.5 offensive boards. So I mean,
that's a big difference.
No, but I mean rookie
per game,
year. But like, let's see this third year. How does he have the same amount? Does he take an uptick in?
Well, he hasn't
rebounds?
upticked anywhere. Is the problem?
No, it was.
And he's been stuck in the mud.
1.4. So
that's what I'm saying. Like,
more.
But
he was also
statistically
injured the second year. He played less games.
Yeah, he played 52 games
compared
this
to
year.
68.
Yeah, so like both years didn't get full runs.
Yeah.
So one problem. 2, statistically, yes, he added a couple more points a game, but it's just a matter of like, all right, how much more can you grow? I get it. You're young. You're athletic for a 7-footer. He can stretch the floor, but I wasn't joking with that like triangle of player comps. Like he falls somewhere in that range. And yes, that's not an insult because it's like prime Ryan Anderson was shooting incredibly well. He was spacing the floor for one of the best teams in the regular season of all time.
Yeah.
And you look at what Bargnani did at his peak. You look at what Kevin Love did on those Cleveland teams. Like, he is a floor spacer. He's someone who can still get rebounds just by the nature of being 7 feet tall, or right around there. And he is someone who can play physical when you need him to. He's not as bad defensively as Ryan Anderson is, but he's also not as good defensively as Kevin Love was.
Yeah. And I think one thing, too, is just to clarify that point, too, it's tough to find totals just because Kevin Love's been injured so much. But if you look for per 100 possessions, comparing Markkanen's first 2 seasons to Kevin Love's seasons in Cleveland, you look at the per 100 possessions when it comes to offensive rebounding, and Kevin Love has been beat by like 1.2 offensive rebounds per 100 possessions. So, I mean, rebounding-wise, it's not really close when you compare Kevin Love and Markkanen. I do like you bringing in the comp triangle. The Dime Drop, a great channel.
I love that.
YouTube channel. I think he's now with the Ringer, so shout out to J. Kyle Mann. But he does a comp cloud, and I think that Bargnani would definitely be in there. I think Kevin Love would definitely be in there. I think Channing Frye would definitely be in there as well. I think.
Come on, give Ryan Anderson just.
Oh, Ryan.
I'm
Anderson
right.
Too.
Yeah, okay.
Ryan Anderson too. I thought you said Ryan Anderson instead of Channing Frye, so that's why I threw him in there. But yeah, no, I think that Markkanen's a unique player. But it's just like his ceiling is limited by what he can do athletically. And that's the reason why he dropped initially in the draft, was that people didn't think he was that athletic enough. People thought he was strictly just a shooter. And then the shooting started to go down in Arizona. So not only was he, the athleticism didn't show there, but also we were like, oh, well, maybe he's not that consistent enough. And maybe that was just a hot streak. Clearly, that's not a hot streak, and he is a great shooter.
Bad coaching.
And he is a very good offensive player, 100%. It was just bad coaching by Sean Miller.
Yep.
We know that he is a very good offensive player, but I think his athleticism is what is going to limit him, and that's what limited Bargnani. That's what limited Ryan Anderson as well. I think that he's going to be at least long-term better, though, because Ryan Anderson and Bargnani weren't in this NBA. And Ryan Anderson's still kicking around for sure, but he wasn't prime, peak, 21 years old, 22, 23, 24 years old when he was in the height of the NBA,
numbers.
the peak of the NBA. Yeah. So that's the thing that Markkanen does have to his game and
he's
to his
already
career
there.
Is that he's in the modern NBA.
Well, yeah, I'm saying he's in the modern NBA, but he's also putting up very good numbers for being so young.
Yeah, I think you look at the numbers that he put up his rookie to sophomore year, and I was kind of showing it that there wasn't that much of a jump. You just started getting more minutes, and then you see just a natural jump in that. So I don't think he's ever going to skyrocket to like 24 points is what I'm thinking. So he is already there physically, and I think that his game really can't mature too much. Yes, maybe he'll be able to add a couple moves down low. Maybe he'll be able to put himself in better positions to rebound. Maybe he'll be able to work on his passing just a little bit. But I think all of his growth is going to be incremental. So I think we're kind of seeing near peak Lauri Markkanen right now. And that's why I think the triangle is interesting, because I don't think he could ever become the unicorn like Kristaps Porzingis can be, but I think he can stick around in the league longer than an Andrea Bargnani. I think he'd be more impactful than a Ryan Anderson. So that's, even if you want to throw in K-Love as well. I don't think he'll ever be as impactful as a K-Love, but I think he could be a third or second player on a championship team. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be the Bulls. Mm-hmm. Probably not going to be the Bulls, but I do think that he can be a part of a big three on a championship team.
Do you think he moves on after his contract's ended? Does he get traded later in his career and then becomes a champion?
No, I don't. I'm not saying he will become a champion.
No, but you said not for the Bulls. That's what I'm.
He doesn't think the Bulls are going to be a championship team.
I don't think
during his career.
I don't, because right now Coby White is not going to. I don't think Coby White's the number one. I don't think he'll ever. He has that type of ceiling. And then with
Zach is our one.
That's the thing. Zach isn't a number one that can win you a championship. So, I mean...
Back to the Jimmy Butler argument.
I don't want to...
I could kill that argument in a second. Jimmy Butler was a better player, and that's why Jimmy Butler was traded for Zach LaVine.
And Lauri Markkanen. And Chris Dunn.
Yeah, so there's a reason why Jimmy Butler was a better player when he left Chicago than Zach LaVine is right now. Jimmy Butler was a clear all-star because he was a two-way dynamite player, where Zach LaVine is a very good offensive player. But Zach LaVine isn't a number one that can win you a championship, and that's why I think that Lauri Markkanen won't be on a championship team, at least with the Bulls. I mean, maybe he wins a championship somewhere else, but I can't predict that. But if he does win a championship, I do think that he'd be the second or third best player because of what he can do offensively. I just think they'd be limited defensively.
I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be a true one, but where I disagree with you is physically, we've seen a massive growth from him. He's put on so much muscle in the last 2 years. If you look at him from the college to his offseason photos this year, which represent Duff Lundgren.
If you look at him from Dave bashing him in the NCAA tournament.
He looked awful, and I did that rightfully so.
You're 100% right with that. He's growing
He's
physically.
Muscled up, so that the hope is that he will be able to extend or to bring his game into the low post again.
Yeah.
And we should hopefully see an uptick in that field goal percentage, because he should be getting earlier looks where he can bully around people. In addition, he should also be contending for more rebounds.
At least watch, and you're right about that. And that's why I think there could be incremental growth.
It looks like our
there.
training staff's taking the right direction with him, at least. So that's why I'm still positive about, I don't think he's, I don't think he's close to his physical peak. He's in that range, but there's definitely still room for growth in those areas.
There's room for growth, but I think it's incremental growth. And I think I just think the thing that holds me back from him being, you could add that muscle, you could trim down, you could become, thinner, you could be able to add more strength to move guys out and be a stronger, guy boxing out players. But I think the thing that is holding me back is I don't know if he has that mentality to be, very tough and be that gritty guy that you need to grab you boards and like K-Love was, because K-Love was just a fat dude that was going in there, and he was getting every single ball.
Yeah.
And I don't think Markkanen has that. I think Markkanen wants to be a finesse player, and that's why I think you see that with Dirk a little bit. Dirk was very much a finesse player. Dirk wasn't a guy that he could get a little bit gritty. He would jaw a couple people up, but he was never like a Kristaps, where Kristaps was not afraid to block anybody at the rim. Kristaps was a mean motherfucker, still is. So I don't think he has that. But do the
Bulls know that? And that's why that's why they've drafted Wendell Carter. That's why they drafted Daniel Gafford, who can maybe fill in for that side of Lauri Markkanen. But that doesn't
change what Markkanen's ceiling is.
No, but we're saying
talking strictly Markkanen.
The thing that the reason why I'm getting into that might not be a bad thing is the Bulls have drafted for that Wendell can play next to Lauri.
That's going to help the team.
Yeah.
We're talking strictly about Markkanen's ceiling.
Yeah, and I'm saying that his ceiling doesn't need to be that. He doesn't need to
focus on that because he can work better on his shot.
I understand that, but that still holds back his ceiling.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's my point.
To me, it doesn't
That's going to affect the overall. That's going to affect the way he plays. That's going to affect his game style.
To me, that's not going to be bringing his ceiling down.
Yes, it does.
It's putting him in a different room with a different ceiling, because you're going to look at not all ceilings are created equal. Lauri Markkanen's ceiling is not going to be the same as a guard ceiling because they're different players. A forward and a guard are going to be different, and that's what I'm like. But that's what I'm getting into.
You're telling me Carson Edwards' ceiling is different than Lauri Markkanen?
Exactly.
Thank you.
But
Sherlock?
What I'm getting to is
maybe put Carson Edwards on somebody else's shoulder.
Taco Falls.
There you go.
But I mean,
too big. It's a 12-foot player.
What
right
I'm
there.
getting to is like his ceiling. Like we're comparing him to these players because you're expecting that. If I'm not, you can. There's a whole nother pool that you can compare him
What
to.
pool are you pulling from then? I think we already have that pool.
For me,
that
I'm
pool
not
is
even worried about, like, you're bringing up, like, the offensive rebound numbers. With me, I'm not necessarily thinking about that. I'm thinking more of, like, offensively and, like, his three-point percentage. I would love to see that go up.
But that's... His three-point percentage is absolutely fine where it is right now.
No, I mean, like, but it could be better. Like, if he was shooting, like... We talked
about this last year. We talked about this in the last segment. There was 10
He's above league average.
There was 10 players that shot 40% or more from three that were taking 5 a game. The fact that he's at 36% as a 7-footer, that is more than suffice for an
taking
offense.
6.5 a game.
Yeah, I mean that's golden for what you want. But we're putting him in that area. I was bringing up offensive rebounds because we're saying, his ceiling could be K-Love. Well, he can't be K-Love because K-Love had this aspect to his game. And that's why, I don't think Markkanen has that aspect to his game. And that's why they're bringing in Wendell Carter Jr. That's why they're bringing in Daniel Gafford. So that's limiting his ceiling to be Kevin Love. And that's why we need to bring in Andrea Bargnani, who wasn't as physical as a player as Kevin Love was. That's why we're bringing in Ryan Anderson because he was mainly an outside shooter that was really going to stick to the outside. So I think you can blend some of these guys' game, but we're blending it because his game is more watered down than what the ceiling is. So if you're saying the ceiling is Kevin Love, he cannot reach that ceiling because he is not as physical. And I think that is, yes, it could change a little bit and he could have more of a step up because he's adding muscle, because he's adding strength to his game. But I don't know if it's mentally there to be a physical killer. And then if we're bringing in Kristaps Porzingis, a guy that is very similar to him in his background, a large, 7-footer, a guy who's from an Eastern European country, one being from Finland, one being from Latvia, being this guy that comes in and is an outside shooter with this size, that makes these two players unique and fit in the same category. But the thing that separates Kristaps from Lauri Markkanen is Kristaps' athleticism and Kristaps' mean streak that I don't think that Lauri Markkanen has. And that's the thing that is going to limit his ceiling, and that's why they're bringing in players around him. It doesn't make him a worse player. It doesn't mean that he can't be a great player for what he is. He's going to be able to mold and find his own way in the NBA, but it does limit him for what he truly can be. And if Kevin Love wasn't a number 1 player on a championship team, that obviously means that Lauri Markkanen might be a 2, but at least is going to be a 3, and possibly a little bit lower down the totem pole because I don't think he is that type of player that Kevin Love is. Same with Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis can be the 2 on a championship team because of his physicality, because of his mean streak, because of his defensive ability. He is more of a 2-way player than Lauri Markkanen is. So we're trying to figure out his ceiling. So you need to bring in those pools of players that play his same position, that have the same abilities that he does, but what limits him from being those types of players? And I think what I've seen for the first 2 years and his freshman year in college, I don't think the physicality side of his game is there mentally. I know as me, when I was growing up as a player, and obviously I'm nothing like these professional athletes are, and if I went up in a fight against Lauri Markkanen, he would kick my ass 100%.
Yeah.
But I always
He do one of those cute things where he puts his hand on your head and you're swinging that air.
I always knew that I was a player that, and a person that, whether it be football, basketball, baseball as well, I wanted to avoid being hit by the ball. I wanted to avoid being around people. I wanted to avoid contact in any certain way. But I was going to make sure that I could do what I can do best by just doing everything fundamentally, right? So so Lauri Markkanen, I don't think can play like some of these guys because he has different mindsets. And I think that he's shown, at least from the 3 years of basketball that I've seen, and plus whatever we've seen prior to college as well and in his overseas days, that he isn't this physical guy. He isn't a guy that is going to embrace contact a ton, and that's going to limit his ceiling.
Then why don't we look at guys who have been that second or third best player on their team, who were power forwards, who could shoot, which basically brings us back from the Kevin Love to the Chris Bosh days. I mean, I know it's a LeBron partner deal, but that is the case. Chris Bosh was someone who was able to stretch the floor out, shoot pretty well.
He wasn't super physical with that Heat team.
Was never super physical.
I would say he was more physical
defensively,
with the
though.
Raptors.
He was very good defensively, but the question is like, does he fit more into that mold? And I think yes. I think Lowry fits closer to like a Chris Bosh.
But then to counteract that, Bosh was better athletically. So I think that's why Markkanen is in a weird spot because He's not as athletic as a Chris Bosh because Chris Bosh was 6'9", so he's automatically quicker, faster. But
Chris Bosh was 6'11". I'm sorry.
Was he?
Yeah.
Those are back. I mean, we thought fucking Dwight Howard was 7 feet tall.
No,
Dwight
was 6'9", and we all knew he wasn't over 6'11".
Chris Bosh is not 6'11".
NBA reference says so.
Chris Bosh played smaller than Lauri Markkanen. I'll at least say that. Chris Bosh had times where he was more of a 4, where you could play Markkanen at the 5.
Chris Bosh played the 5 for several years.
But Bosh was a 4. Bosh was a 4.
But he could play the 5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
I think Lauri's the same exact way. He's a 4 on our team, but he can play the 5.
Bosh is better at putting the ball on the ground, though. Bosh is better with the ball in his hands, creating.
I don't know.
Bosh was gifted with the ball.
I think Lauri, year 2, looked decent with the ball in his hands. I don't know. It's hard because
you're comparing to an 11-time All-Star, so it's tough.
I know, but I'm trying to put him in a category.
Yeah,
as far as
you're trying to find a seed.
Guys who are 4-5s who can shoot well from the field, who were able to space the floor out for their teams, and who were also the second or third best player on their team. Like, there's not a lot of guys in that category. I think it's a unique type, like a player type. So when you start looking at the best of that category, it is the Chris Bosh. It is, guys, KG was never in that genre of like when shooting took over the league. But if it was, like, if he was able to, KG could do it all. Yeah, KG that's the thing. He's one of the greatest power forwards of all time for a reason.
But we know KG. He's not.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like, it's not going to be a KG.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. But my thing is, like, those guys who are, like I said, able to do floor spacing while being, 6'10 plus. I think there's pretty elite company for all the names that are coming up, and especially for someone who's putting up the numbers he is in his first 2 years. I would put him he's on that arc of being a 20-plus a game scorer for several years because he's not predicated on his athleticism. He's someone who just has a great shooting touch and who has a great release. He has good physicality, or I should say building physicality into his game. Well, he's still 21, 22, 23. So I think he's got a game that will age well. Like, I don't see anything really holding him back from being someone who's just going to be in a similar vein of like second or third guy on the team, but between 18 and 24 points a game for, like 6 years, no problem. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's a very good player and he just can continue to get better. But when it comes to that type, you're right. There's not a lot of guys who have been there and done that because the game hasn't been around with 7-footer shooting threes this often. I think it's a small category.
The point that we're disagreeing on is just the fact that I do think that he can get better. I just think that he is pretty much the player that he is going to be already.
You don't think there's going to be much room for growth?
I don't think this. Like I said, I think
it's not a Pascal Siakam case where we see this guy going from late resurgence in life and then growing big chunks year over year as far as how well you can play.
I think he'll have incremental growth. Okay, and that's the thing that he can be a very more well-tuned and find player. Like, he could tune in and hone in his skills for sure. But I don't know if he can take that next step to becoming elite. I think maybe he'll make an All-Star game or something like that. But Chris Bosh was an elite player. I don't know if Markkanen can become an elite player. I think that's his threshold that we can at least say if we're going bare bones, not even comparing him to players. Yeah. I don't know if he'll ever be elite. He's definitely not KG category.
Oh, God, no.
We know that. But, I don't think he's going to be Dirk KG category. But then you can go away from the greats and go to the elite. I don't even know if he'll hit that elite status. Where I think Kevin Love was elite at a time.
But career arc-wise, you have to admit, in his first 2 years, he's done something that very few people have done.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what do you think is a bum? It's the furthest thing that I'm saying.
So what do you think, if his baseline is so high, what do you think his peak will be? Like, stat line. I don't know if you want to throw out a stat line or shooting split.
I don't think I'll ever hit up to 24.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think that, again, incrementally, I think he can become a 20-point per game player for sure. I think that we saw last year, I don't know if his volume can increase that much. Because if this Bulls team's going to be good, that means more guys are taking shots. And we see the emergence of Otto Porter. We see Zach LaVine. Coby White's going to need shots. Thomas Satoransky, Thad Young, Wendell Carter Jr. didn't play much last year as well. So if this team's going to grow, I don't think the shots are going to be massively there for Lauri Markkanen. I don't think it's going to be there mainly because I don't think he's going to be an unstoppable guy that they need to feed the ball to. Possession. I think they'll get it to him when he's open, and they'll obviously call plays for him when he has a great matchup.
Yeah,
but
he's taken about 15 a game last year.
Yeah, I think maybe that gets up to 18. But even then, I don't think that's going to push him to 22 points per game or anything like that. So I'd say his peak for that is 22 points per game. I think rebounding-wise, maybe he clips 10.5. And then assist-wise, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy important. But, if he becomes a 46% shooter, I don't think 40's out of his range, at least from 3. And then I think he could probably hit 90 at least from the line. So yeah. I think he could be a 46, 40, 90 player on 22 points per game. And that's very, very good. But the thing that's going to hold him back from becoming that next level, that elite, is his defense. And I don't think that defense is there because of the physicality that is lacking from what I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. And for me, the thing I think is the disconnect in this conversation is that if, let's say it's K-Love, let's say it's Chris Bosh, and that's the ceiling, if Lauri doesn't make it exactly to that ceiling, that is not bad. And that doesn't mean that this Bulls team can't be good if he doesn't. I think the thing that I would disagree with you, Sean, is that, Dave brings up the Pascal Siakam, which is a good point, where maybe Lauri didn't have much improvement to get to where he is right now. It's incremental. But I still think there's leaps and bounds that he can do. And I think we will see that over this year, over next year. What part of his game
do you think you're like, wow, he hasn't unlocked that part of him yet? Because I don't think he's that good of a ball handler. So that part's automatically limiting him.
Well, that's one thing. It's things that he needs to work on and fine-tune. Ball handling, the making sure that with the three-point shot that you're maintaining that. Even getting better with that because that's your bread and butter. And then also becoming that, I think he can become that player where it's hey, I can be a little bit more physical here, a little bit more physical there.
I think
completely writing it off to where I think that he can work on that and kind of, is he going to be the big bruiser down low? Never. But I think he can work on it to where we're looking at it where it's wow, remember 2 years ago when we talked about Lauri Markkanen and how his offensive rebound numbers were low and that he couldn't bang down low, and now he can a little bit more?
Maybe, but I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that's averaging over 13 boards per game, is going to be a defensive stalwart. I don't think that's in him. I mean, we just look at Karl-Anthony Towns. We're always Karl-Anthony Towns can unlock it because he has the athleticism, he has the size, he has the
incredibly efficient shot.
Yeah, he's got everything to become a great defender. It's just not there, I don't think it's there with Markkanen either. And that's the thing is, I think that he could be a little bit worse than Karl-Anthony Towns, and because he's less athletic. I think he's less physically gifted as Karl-Anthony Towns, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, you can be a very good player. I think a good comp for him is maybe Brook Lopez. If Brook was doing this his whole entire career, maybe not at the rim. I'm just looking because I looked up guys who were 6'9" or taller that were forward, centers, all that stuff, and that were averaging 16.5 points per game throughout their career. That's what Markkanen right now is doing, and I don't think that's going to dip unless he has he plays for a long time like Vince Carter and just has
if he's there at 42, sure.
Yeah, but I think in his prime, these are the players that he's going to be in, and he's right now at the lowest. And it's the difference between him and second place is about half win shares, but it's Markkanen with 6.1 win shares, and then Kristaps at 12.1, and then there's Joel Embiid, DeMarcus Cousins, Karl-Anthony Towns, Brook Lopez, then Brad Daughtry, Yao Ming, Anthony Davis, Willis Reed, Tom Chambers, Zach Randolph, Chris Webbers, Dave Cowens, Bob McAdoo, Alonzo Mourning, Amari Stoudemire, Chris Bosh, Marcus Aldridge, Artis Gilmore, Mikan, Larry Nance, Kevin McHale, Bob Lanier, Alvin Hayes, Patrick Ewing, Dwight Howard, Walt Bellamy, Bob Pettit, Paul Gasol, Hakeem Olajuwon, Moses Malone, David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal, KG, Tim Duncan, Wilt, and Kareem. All those guys, there's definitely, those are Hall of Famers right there. He's in great categories. He's in a great section, without a doubt. But let's look at all of those players, and it's just there's clearly just a complete difference when you look at all those players compared to Lauri Markkanen. And that's the athleticism. That's the holy shit factor of their games. And I don't think he has that in him. And that's why I think that he's in a very good spot right now in his career, but that's why I don't think he's going to be able to take that next jump. And that's why I looked at Brook Lopez, because Brook Lopez kind of doesn't have that holy shit part to his game. But Brook Lopez is a very good player. He renowned his game. He fine-tuned his game. He's a very good, well-rounded player. And I don't know what Brook did coming into the game as a rim protector, and that's where Markkanen lacks the most, I would say. Yeah, and Brook came in blocking like 2 shots a game. So I don't think that's a great comp for him, at least defensively. But,
he's also like the worst rebounding center in NBA history.
Yeah, so and he doesn't like physicality a ton either. So it's tough to find him because he's a very unique player. But I don't know if he's unique enough to be that elite level.
Final thoughts on this before we wrap up shop.
I think you guys are thinking that I'm saying he's shit. Like, he's very good.
A little bit. It's kind of got that connotation. Like, I think that's the connotation you got to throw away because that's not what you're meaning.
Brook peaked at like 28 with a stat line that like Lauri can do this year without like blinking an eye is my thing. Like you're saying his top end is something that's attainable this year.
But the thing is, I'm saying like if Brook was I'm saying Brook last year because like. And obviously, Brook,
that was his peak, though. That's what I'm saying. Brook's peak was being a 20-point a game scorer.
I'm saying, like, he's Brook Lopez in the fact that he's not that next-level athlete, that he is 7 feet tall. Brook obviously showed that he can be a great three-point shooter. I'm not saying that he's going to be, Brook Lopez taking 10 shots a game. I'm saying, like, a higher volume Brook Lopez where he isn't this athletic freak like a Karl Anthony Towns, like a Shaquille O'Neal, like an Anthony Davis or anything like that. But he's a very well-rounded, he's a smart player. He's fine-tuned his game to fit what the NBA needs. I think he could be that type of player where he has a long career because he is very smart. He is very skilled. I just don't know if he's next-level skilled. And I'm just saying next level as an elite or Hall of Famer. So I'm not saying that he's a bad player. He could be a top 2-3 player on an NBA championship team.
He doesn't need to be a Hall of Famer.
That's a very good thing. Huh?
He doesn't need to be a Hall of Famer.
I'm not saying he does.
No,
I'm trying to find his ceiling.
I'm not
saying that his ceiling can't be a Hall of Famer. Sorry.
I'm not saying you do. I'm just clarifying in case there's someone out there that needed to hear that.
You're saying you're hurt over me being mean to Lauri Markkanen by saying he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. You're being mean to my boy. Like,
Brook Lopez could be a Hall of Famer.
No.
Splash Mountain.
He's got years in him.
But I think that Markkanen isn't going to be elite. It's all. Like, I don't know what Brad Daughtry did. He's not going to be Brad Daughtry, I guess. I don't know. Brad Daughtry was because that was one of the names on the list. I was like,
okay,
because Brad Daughtry's now I know him as an analyst. 7-footer, played for Cleveland, averaged 19 points throughout his career, 9.5 boards, less than a block as a 7-foot big man. I mean, that sounds like Markkanen. He wasn't shooting like Markkanen from the outside. Yeah. Markkanen was a better shooter. I mean, Brad Daughtry wasn't taking a ton of threes, but Brad Daughtry was around a 75% shooter from the line. So like. Maybe that's it. I mean, you're looking at Brad Miller right now.
I was going to fuck with you. I was going to fuck with you.
Are you kidding me? So you're saying that I'm capping Lauri Markkanen and you're like, he's Brad Miller.
No, we're not.
That's the floor. The floor is Brad Miller.
He's already better than Brad Miller ever was. The whole thing was, I was going to do it to fuck with you. When you were looking at Chris Daughtry, you're like, yeah, basically, let's just call the man. Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's just call the man Brad, like souped up Brad Miller. Like, is that what you want to hear? Jesus, Sean.
Brad Daughtry finished his career with 114 offensive rating and 105 defensive rating.
It's pretty good.
If you didn't want that for Lauri Markkanen, I don't know what you want.
It's pretty good.
Because I was looking up, like, okay, who were some of the best big men shooting? And on every list, Brad Miller is there. I
know, right?
And I'm like, was he really that good?
He took a 3 a game.
I just remember him just being the white guy on the team for when the Bulls and the
that guy.
He only played what? 2008, 2009.
You Googled Brad Miller, and he's not even the first Brad Miller to come up.
No, he's not. Oh man.
First guy's the guy that doesn't wear batting gloves on the Phillies.
Ooh, that's kind of
and that's how we end it with Brad Miller. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Superfans.
Why do you think I was being mean to Lauri Markkanen? You didn't answer that. You're like, I think you're being mean to him.
I think it's
because you're writing things off.
Yeah, I was.
You don't write things off from a 21-year-old. 22-year-old.
So what? You want me to baby Lauri Markkanen and be like,
no, but he's got to be
KG.
I'm saying,
I think he's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
It sounded.
I think he's gonna get his jersey
retired. It sounded like you were saying, like, well, he doesn't have this, he's never going to get it. Where I'm looking at it, he's 22. Like, I think that there's some
man's
growth
got 10 years in his career. Easy.
Let me change it. Lauri Markkanen's going to be the 52nd president of the United States of America.
That would be impressive because he wasn't born in our country.
That's the joke, Dave. But I'm not going to limit him. I'm not going to limit him because he's only 21 years old.
Fucking snowflakes over here.
In this day and age, like,
you were the snowflake.
I don't question anything.
You're limiting his ceiling.
All right, then I won't. Then he's going to become a president as a non-United States citizen. Or
in this day and age, Donald Trump can change whatever he wants. He can open the door for Lauri Markkanen.
Yikes.
Like, I don't question anything that happens in this world anymore.
You opened it up. You opened it up.
You guys are the ones like, oh, you're limiting his ceiling. All right, so I just didn't.
Because he's freaking 21 and putting up 18 points a night, 9 boards.
We
just talked for 35 minutes about it. I'm not going back
40
on this.
Plus.
Jesus Christ.
But what do you think the ceiling
I am
is?
sweating. This is over. Great segment, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Make sure to check us out on twitch.tv/MostValuedPodcast, patreon.com/MostValuedPodcast, and on Twitter at Ricky Widmer, at Dave_don't_tweet at... I didn't memorize it already. And then at Most Valuable Pod. At Schwarbo. I'm just going to at Schwarbo, at Most Valuable Pod. Thank you guys. We will talk to you guys later. Stay super fans.